Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fisdap Tips and Tricks webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that due to the volume of attendees, all lines have been muted. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them through the chat, and we'll save some time to address them at the end of the webinar. Today's Tips and Tricks topic is shared networks. Our host is Ben Tape. Ben is a solutions consultant and has been with Fisdap since 2015. So without further delay, I'll pass it off to you, Ben.
Thanks, Haley. Good afternoon or morning, depending on where everyone is in the country. As Haley mentioned, we're going to start with shared networks here. And before I get fully into it, I just want to give a heads up that I am using my staff account. Oops, sorry. Let me get my screen share. There it is. I'm using my staff account, which will look mostly the same as your instructor accounts, with the main difference being up in the corner. I'm going to be able to jump between programs. That'll be important due to the shared network aspect of it. So before we get fully into it, I just want to talk about what it means to be in a shared network. So most of this is going to happen in the scheduler, so I'm going to go pull up my scheduler tab here. And as you can see in this program, there's a daily shift here, and there's this icon here, and that means that this is a shared shift. So the way sharing works in Fisdap is you're actually going to be sharing with multiple programs, or potentially multiple programs with at least one other program. But what you are sharing is the site, and more specifically the shifts at that site themselves. So in this case, these shifts are being shared because we can tell from that shared icon. So to get a shared network set up, you're going to go ahead and head to the account page and then click on the sites option. And then you'll see your list of sites here. And you may have noticed there's a sharing column that'll either be blank, have a grayed out icon, a filled in icon, or a filled in icon with a flag. And if we go down to our little legend here at the bottom, if there's no icon, it means there's no sharing. If there's the grayed out icon, it means there is a shared network. However, you are not in it, or your approval is pending. If there is the filled in icon, it means you're sharing, and if it is filled in with the flag, it means you are the admin for the shared site. We will get into what admin entails in just a little bit. So as we saw with Hoth Station, which is the shifts that we just were looking at, we are the admin at this site. But let's say we wanted to have another program join this shared network. What we can do is click on the edit button and go ahead, head to the shared network option here, and you can see that there are two programs in this sharing network, Fisdap Webinars and Fisdap Demo Program. But let's say there's a third that we want to get added in. It's a new program. So from the admin side, you don't really do anything until the request is made. But what you would do is let the program director or whoever's managing the sites at that other program, let them know to go add the site and then come and request sharing. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and jump to our other program that we're going to use here, Fisdap 101. And they currently don't have Hoth Station. So what we need to do is go back to Fisdap 101 sites, go to add a site, and it's going to pull up the list of sites created by programs in Minnesota. Because that's where the program is selected. Now, for those programs that do work across state lines, you can switch your state here, and you'll see the list for those other states. But in this case, we want to find Hoth, and there it is. So we can actually see that there is a shared network there, but again, we're not in it yet. It's important to do this step here because with shared networks, you have to share the exact site. So if there's ever an instance where there is multiple programs with the same name, for example, there's quite a few Allina Health programs, we would need to make sure we grab the specific Allina that is being shared, because if we don't have the exact same site, even if those two sites have the same name, we will not actually be able to share. So I'm going to go ahead and select Hoth, add that field site. And now when I come in here, it's going to say I need at least one base in order to use it. That's true for all sites, whether you're sharing or not. I'm actually not going to add a base just yet. And the reason is because not only does the exact same site need to be used for sharing, but the same bases need to be turned on as well. And one of the features of getting added to the shared network is you're actually going to be have the shared bases added automatically. So you don't need to worry about getting the right one or duplicating it or anything like that. So I'm going to leave that blank for the moment. I'm going to come over to shared network, and as you can see, Fisdap 101 is over here in the not shared side, and gray programs mean they have not requested sharing. So what I'm going to do is click request sharing, and now I'm showing up as not grayed out. And as you can see, it says the request to join was made, and if you don't receive a response within 2 business days, to contact, and it has whoever the admin is from the admin program. In this case, it's Mace Windu, and they give you an email address so you can email them if you need. Now, from the admin side, they would then get the request via email that we at Fisdap 101 have requested sharing. And what we would do is, get rid of that, sorry about that. We would go back to our webinar program. And now as admin, I can come back here, select Fisdap 101, and move them over. Now, as the admin, when you move someone into the sharing, it's going to ask you these 4 questions, and these will be important for both getting them set up into the shared network as well as determining what they can do in the shared network. So the first question is, do we want to add Fisdap 101 to all existing shared shifts? Now, as we saw in the Fisdap webinars program, there was a daily shift for Hoth in the shared shifts in the shared network. So if we say yes to this first one, it's going to add Fisdap 101 to those shared shifts. So Fisdap 101 will see those shifts. So typically, if a shared network already exists and you're adding someone new into it, yes, you do want to add them into those shifts so that they can see what you've got shared. The next option is, do we want to add their existing shifts, that is Fisdap 101, the new program's existing shifts, to the shared network? Sometimes this may be a yes, but a lot of times I've seen with users, it's typically going to be no. The reason is, in this case, it doesn't really matter because for Fisdap 101, we added Hoth as a brand new site, and before even doing any scheduling, we went and requested sharing. However, if we had been in a situation where Fisdap 101 had been using Hoth, they had been scheduling their own shifts, not part of the shared network, and then they got joined into the shared network, or added into the shared network, that is, we may not want to add in the sites, the individual sites that they, or shifts rather, that they had already created. We may want to only have our existing shared options be it. So if we didn't want to add it in, we would click no. If we did want the shifts that Fisdap 101 created added to our shared network, we would then click yes. Again, in this case, there are no shifts in question, so it doesn't matter yes or no. The next one is the big one, and it's, can this new program create shifts at Hoth Station? And the reason this is important is this is effectively what gives admin status. So if a user can create shared shifts, they are considered admin. So I'll go ahead and click yes for this instance. And then the last option is, do we want the Fisdap 101 to see the students' names from other programs? This is up to the admin to say whether they want that option or not. There are, in theory, potential FERPA issues if you do say yes, so you want to be very careful if you do say yes. Otherwise, if you say cannot, when a student from another program picks one of the shifts, it will say filled in from student at Fisdap 101, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and say cannot for that, and I'm going to click save. And our robot's going to clickety-clack for a minute, and while it processes it. And now, if we go back to sharing network, we'll see that all 3 are in here, and the asterisk, which denotes admin, is showing for Fisdap 101. Now, let's say that you, as the admin at Fisdap Webinars, decide, ooh, you know what, they really shouldn't be admin. You can go ahead and select it and click edit, and you can remove that admin status if you'd like. So now that we've got our options set up here, we could then go back to our scheduler, and just going to hit refresh so it knows that we took it. And what I'm going to do here, just to show what that looks like when you can't see the student's name, is, and actually I'm not sure why we're in September, we are in October. Let's come here. So I'm going to go ahead and assign a student to this shift tomorrow. We'll go ahead and put Lando in there. So great. So we know it's Lando. Web is the abbreviation for this program, so it shows everyone where they're actually coming from. But now what I can do is go back to the Fisdap 101 program, and we should see now nothing. And the reason for that is as I mentioned earlier, we need both the site and the base turned on. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to the site's settings and pull up Hoth here. And as you can see now, where this was empty, we now see the ion cannon and the land speeders that were coming from the shared network, and we just need to turn them on. So I'm going to go ahead and activate both of them. And now we're going to head back to the scheduler, hit refresh so it knows that we made that change. And now we're seeing them. And so as you can see, because this part of the shared network didn't allow the shared sites to see, or shared programs to see students' names, we do still see that's filled, that one slot's filled, but we just see Fisdap webinars student. We don't know the actual student in question. So that is getting set up with when someone's already admin. But let's say you guys were setting up a shared network where no one is admin yet. So if you want to do that, and we'll head back to if I could spell Fisdap webinars. And so let's say we wanted to get the sharing set up at Dagobah, a lab site. I'll open that up, and we've got a base here, so that's great. And then I'll head to shared network. And right now, there is no shared network, and Fisdap Webinars, our program, is the only one that is even using this site at all. So that's fine. We can still start to get the shared network going, even if we're not sharing with anyone. So what I would do is click request sharing. And now the first time that someone requests sharing at a site, instead of it going to the admin, because there is no admin, it would come to us at Fisdap support. And the first time we get one of those options, we make whoever requested it the admin for that site. Now, if for whatever reason the person who requests first shouldn't be admin, just let us know and we can change up who the admin is, make sure the right person is there. But essentially what would happen is they would request it and it would come to us, and then we would get the notification that someone's requested. We would then move them into the program, and again, we would add their existing shifts we'd add them to the shared network, although there is no shared network yet. We would add, in this case, because it is the first one, the shifts they've already created into the shared network. We would definitely make them admin. And then we typically do not turn on students' names, again, for that potential issue of the FERPA issues. But again, as admin, you can change it even for yourself. So if you decide you do want to see the other students' names, you can just come back here, select it, and then go. And then the process would be the same. Now that we have an admin, we would go back to the 101 program. Oh, that's Louisiana, not Fisdap 101, my apologies. But as you can see, they don't have that program or that site, so they don't need to worry. And back to the site, and then we wanted to add a site. And again, it's another Minnesota site, so we don't need to change the state. And so we would just search for Dagobah, there we go. And same business where let's not add the base yet because we want to get on the sharing. We would request sharing. It would go to Mace Windu. They could move them over and so on and so forth. So you are all set. The other piece that is good to know is back in the scheduler, and it's when, now that we have a shared network set up, what you do to create new shared shifts. So we'll go ahead and add a field shift because, again, we still have Hoth station set up. I'm going to, didn't switch my programs. That's one issue. Let me back out of here. And Fisdap webinars. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the create field shift option. I'm going to select Hoth station. We'll do land speeders this time. Typical creating of a of a shift. I'll do it as a shift series where we repeat every day. That's fine. But then here at the bottom are the shared scheduler options. So first off, if you didn't want to share these sites as admin at all, that's totally fine. You would just click shared shifts off, and now you're just creating shifts for your own program as you would normally create your shifts if you're not part of a shared program. But you can also, again, we can keep them on, and it's now saying sharing with 2 other programs. But the other neat thing is you can indicate which programs you want to share with. So for whatever reason, if we only wanted to share these with Fisdap 101, we can undo the Fisdap demo, and now they will not be able to, Fisdap demo won't see these shifts, only Fisdap 101 will. So if there are ever instances where, say, a site switches off which program gets the shifts for that month, you could make the monthly shifts and say only share with Fisdap 101, and then November shifts would be only with Fisdap demo. You would just make 2 different series that alternate that way. So again, that is how you can get set up to basically customize where it's sharing with. You can also indicate what cert level can sign up for it. So if you know only paramedics should sign up for this, you can mark that, and now only paramedics will be able to see these shifts. And then the other thing to point out about shared shifts is that the sign-up window and the drop cover swap options are actually program specific, even on a shared network. So if I set up my sign-up window to be, yeah, sure, it'll open today, and we'll make it closes 1 day before, and I hit save, or create rather, and I'll just take a second here. So now we can see with our land speeder shifts that it's going to be closing on 1 day prior to the shift, so these ones are in fact open. But if I switch back to our Fisdap 101 program, it's going to be using the default sign-up window for this program, which in this case is signing up 2 days in advance, it looks like, and I'll just double check that here in the settings. And for field shift, sign up 2 days in advance. So if we wanted to change that, we could go ahead and try and edit these. Now, as admin, it's going to be pretty specific about what we can do here. So I'm actually going to show you the wrong way. So I did not select the entire series here. You can see, there we go, edit. So yeah, I'm not selecting all of them. There's a week's worth that are not selected. I'm going to hit edit. And it's going to tell us that since you are not the admin, you can only edit the sign-up windows if you choose the full future shifts for the series. So if you're not the admin, you can still make a change to your sign-up window, but you need to select the entire series in order to do that, which is not a problem. We'll just go to the next available one, which will be the 3rd. I'm going to click edit and multiple in the series. And as you can see, all the grayed out ones are selected. There's no like that where it's white. And so I'm going to click edit 42. And now we're able to edit the sign-up window. You'll notice not admin, so I can't click to the other options. I can't do the assign for preceptors, but I can assign students if you want to assign a student to all of those shifts. I could turn sign-up off, and I can adjust the sign-up window, and then I can do my drop cover swap options as well. So we could just switch that up there and hit save. And now even though the drop was not allowed from the admin because it's my own personal students here, I am turning that on. So now we're seeing the drop. Actually, that something went wrong there. I will have to take a look at that. But yes, the change was made there. So that is all set. So again, we see the sign up icon for those. If just to show one last bit here, to jump back to our Fisdap webinars. If I were to just create one last series, and sure, one student can go, we'll repeat again. If I did not make it shared, and we just create them, you would then see that there is the shift we created, but it is not shared. So our counterparts on Fisdap 101 would not see these shifts because they are not shared. When I created them, I made them not shared shifts. Only my own students in this Fisdap webinars program can see them. So if Lando went to try and sign up, he would see it, but if a student in Fisdap 101 went to sign up, they would not see these shifts. So just to recap the process of how it works, the first step you'll want to do to get a shared network created is to have the site in general. If you're going to be admin, request sharing before your counterparts add the site, that's totally fine, or they can add the sites and then you can become the admin and they can request sharing. But again, you would come to the sites, select the site that you want to create the sharing for, select edit, go to sharing network, request sharing. If it's the first time that someone has requested sharing, it goes to Fisdap, we will mark them admin, and then going forward, all requests go to the admin. If there is more than one admin, which again there can be, anyone who can create shared shifts permission is considered admin. Everyone who is admin would be notified via our system if someone requests sharing. So there can be multiple people granting access and creating shifts. Because of that, we do tend to recommend there be just one admin because it just keeps it cleaner. There's no confusion as to who's creating the shifts and who is approving the new additions to the shared network. But again, if there's a situation where where you guys want there to be multiple people creating the shared shifts, that's totally fine. You would just give multiple people that option, and there would be multiple admins. The one last thing I want to mention is something that comes up occasionally, which is where a shared network is set up with a site, but that site itself wants to be able to create the shifts. So what we would do if that was the case, if Bespin Clinic wanted to be able to make their own shifts and share it with the programs that are using it, the students that come to them, we would get Bespin created as a program in Fisdap. They wouldn't add any students per se, but we would essentially make them a new school in Fisdap. So they would just contact us and explain that they want to be able to manage their own site. We would create the program for them, make sure we have whatever shared network, if it's already created, is added to them, or if we're starting from scratch, we would use their site and then have the others add it and then request the sharing, and then we could make them admin. And then that way Bespin is making their own schedule, and that's their sharing with everyone else. Again, they wouldn't have their own students, but the students from other programs could sign up because of the shared network. So if that is something that you find the sites you go to want to do, that they want to be able to create their own shifts, that's totally fine. There is no cost to creating a program. Like with all of Fisdap, it's whenever the cost comes from the student products. So again, you just have them contact us, we get them a program created, and we would help facilitate getting the shared network all set up so everyone was on the same page. Additionally, alongside that, I've also seen instances where the site wants their own program so they can easily view the schedule, but they don't want to be actually creating it. They don't want to learn Fisdap, or they want to just see who's coming. In that case, then they could still be on the shared network, just not as an admin, and another admin from the shared network would be the one creating the sites there. So with that, I will open up to questions if we have any. Let me see if I've not seen any come in, but oh, here we go. Maybe that might be the just general one. Haley, maybe I'm missing anything. Have any questions come in?
No, we don't have any questions as of right now. Again, anyone who has questions, please feel free to send them through the chat. But Ben, if you don't have anything else.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to jump there. I would just say that if you do have questions, because this is can be a fairly complex thing getting set up, if before you start going through it, if you want to reach out to us, 651-796-3234. Oh, sorry, that's my direct line, which, you know what? That's totally fine. You can give me a call. The general line is 651 690-9241 is our support line. Either of those numbers, totally fine to reach out to support@fisdap.net as well if you want us to walk through creating the shared network with you guys so that you know that everything is set up properly. That's totally fine. I would say that just as a quick one last thing to say before we sign off here is one of the main troubleshooting techniques I use when people are having issues with the shared network is to make sure that the bases are turned on and the same at both programs, because again, if we had not turned on the ion cannon base at Fisdap 101, even though those shifts were created and shared across the board, if the base is not turned on at the recipient side, they would not see the shifts. So that's usually the first thing I check when people call in saying, hey, we set up the shared network, but I'm not seeing any of the shared shifts on my end. I go and look at, okay, well, what is the base for the shared shifts, or those shared shifts are at what base, and make sure that the base is turned on all the recipient side. So with that, I'll give it just one more moment in case anyone has a last minute question. And if not, I will jump to our page here. We do encourage, I believe there'll be a survey that goes out, and we would love to get any feedback from you guys. And if nothing else, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. We hope to have you join us for the next Tips and Tricks webinars on October 16th and 30th. To stay up to date on upcoming webinars or to see recordings of previous webinars, you can visit go.fisdap.net/tipsandtricks. There will be a quick survey, as Ben mentioned, after the webinar, so please be sure to let us know your thoughts and if you have any suggestions for future topics. Thank you, and we hope to see you next time.